good morning and welcome once again to Tiempo. I'm Joe Torres. Affordable housing is getting harder and harder to find. Latino communities that once thrived are being pushed out by gentrification. We'll tell you about a long-serving tenant and affordable housing advocacy group that helps Latinos stay put. That's coming up in just a few minutes. But right now, it's been nearly a month since real estate mogul and celebrity billionaire Donald Trump launched his presidential campaign and made controversial comments about undocumented immigrants. Comments like, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Those are the words of Mr. Trump. Since then, he's gone on to say quite a bit more. Let's take a listen.
We're housing people from all over the world that other countries don't want. They're sending criminals to us, and we're putting those criminals in jail, oftentimes after they've killed somebody or hurt somebody. We have to secure our borders. We have to do something to take back our country. They're coming from all over the world. You have people coming from the Middle East that are going right through Mexico and past the border.
Mr. Trump shows no signs of pulling back on his anti-immigrant rhetoric. This is many corporations and organizations distance themselves from him. Despite all that, the latest polls show him with a significant lead, and Trump believes and predicts he will win the Latino vote. Well, here to discuss all of this and much more, Christopher Cabanillas, an immigration attorney at law, and Juan Aguirre from Mano a Mano, a community organization that promotes the understanding of Mexican culture and tradition. Good morning to you both. Thank you for being here. You hear those comments as a Latino from
Peru and
Colombia. What runs through your heart?
Well, I think we're scratching the surface on what a lot of people believe. Unfortunately, and I think what's happening is that the soundbites.
What do you believe?
Well, I certainly don't believe that to be the case. I think he's making a generalization. The immigrants that I know that are striving to, become citizens here, to get legal status here, want to be here, and they're very good, hardworking people.
Right.
And that's the immigrants that I know.
Okay.
And so his generalization is, I think, scratching the surface, unfortunately, of what a lot of people want to generalize them to be. It's simply not the case. It makes for an easy soundbite.
Yes.
And unfortunately, a Twitter post or what have you. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the country does believe this.
Your reaction as Mexicano, Mexican American, right? You hear those incendiary remarks, especially right when he launched his campaign. Were you shocked? Were you thrown back? What ran through the mind of Juan Aguirre?
I was a little bit shocked, but not very surprised.
Okay.
But I was glad that it happened towards the end of the month, because the first thing that came to my mind was the kids in school. A lot of kids pick these things and they repeat it. And so I went to school here, and I know how bullying gets to be, and so I was very upset that happened, because I know that it's going to have repercussion.
There has been criticism of us, the media, me, in shows like this. Let me ask you flat out, are we perpetuating the conversation by continuing to talk about Mr. Trump, or are you of the mindset and the approach where say nothing, let him just go away?
No, absolutely not. We have to address what he's saying right now. It's there because it's very public. He's running for president. He's one of the most famous people in the world. And I think what's important is that it's actually, like America Ferrera said, it's a unifying thing right now for Latinos. I think that people are coming together. For so long, people have said, oh, if you're Mexican, or if you're South American, there's been a lot of sort of different groups involved that have their own identities. But I think finally that we're seeing with this is unifying Latinos across the United States who are feeling they're getting generalized, they're getting categorized as something that's bad, and it's simply not the case.
America Ferrera, an actress of Honduran descent who came out, wrote a letter, highly publicized, said, thank you, Mr. Trump, for putting it. Do you agree with her approach and her sentiment that this has put a spotlight and has encouraged Latinos to get to the polls and to vote and to register? Are you of that approach and that mindset?
Well, yes, but I don't agree with her. Thank you.
Okay.
I think it is an opportunity for us to get together and to promote our unity, and obviously get out to vote and encourage U.S. residents to become U.S. citizens. That's important. But I'm not so sure that it would be a thank you to him.
Do you get the impression that every time Mr. Trump responds, and he has many times to the comments that he made, that he only digs the hole deeper?
Absolutely. I think that, look, we're a growing force in the United States. you know, we're going to be soon the majority, minority, if you will. I think we actually already are. Yeah. But that's growing and growing, and I think that this is a unifying force. I look at it the other way. Rather than being bullying, I think that we're going to be strengthened by this, and we're not going to let us be pushed around anymore. We've been a quiet minority for so long. You know, there's been other groups that have gotten so much more press, so much more opportunity in the press to sort of get their voice out, and we have it. And I think finally this is our time, and I encourage it because we know that immigration is going to be, in my opinion, the hot topic for this election that's coming up. Yep. They're going to be hitting a lot, and he's nailing it.
We'll talk about the politics of this in just a second, but Juan, before we go to break, well, let's go to break, and I'll ask you when we come back a little bit about where we go from here. And the polls, what are your thoughts about what the polls are reflecting after Mr. Trump's comments? When we come back, more on presidential candidate Donald Trump and Latinos. Still ahead on Tiempo, look at this. An organization in Williamsburg focused on helping Latinos stay put in their neighborhoods by preserving affordable housing. We'll talk to them later in the show.